Good evening, North Little Rock parents. If you have a child who is in kindergarten, first, second, or third grade, I want to visit with you about the new standards-based report cards that we will be using this year to assess your students. And this type of report card will give you a lot more information about what your child is able to do in the areas that they need support with. What is the purpose of standards-based report cards? We want to make sure that we are providing accurate information and descriptive feedback to students and their families on the student's progress toward meeting grade level standards. Our goal is to convey information about academic achievement and to promote student growth. Currently, all of our teachers operate using the Arkansas standards that involve many things for each child to learn. When we look at traditional report cards, we are used to seeing a letter grade that provides one indication of performance in each subject area, such as the one presented here on the screen. Grades are determined by averaging the performance over the entire 9 weeks or semester. In our case, it's over the 9 weeks. Traditional report cards, when you look at this and you get this report card home, do you get a clear picture of what your student knows or doesn't know? Does this letter grade really give you very much information about what they are able to do? Traditional report cards oftentimes include outline factors such as behavior, attendance, homework, effort, sometimes even extra credit. If these factors are included in an overall grade, how can we as teachers or parents identify strategies to support student success? Standards-based report cards and the reasons for the change. Each content area or standard is broken down into specific academic skills and knowledge or learning targets that allow students and parents to have detailed information about the student's skills. This provides better focus on what students should learn for teachers and students. It provides better student engagement because students themselves know what they are strong in and what they need to work on. It also provides better and more clear communication to parents and gives parents a clear picture of learning separated from behavior. This is a small sample of what a standards-based report card will look like. For example, one of the standards that is being taught, this is an example of a first grade report card, is Reading Foundational Skills, first grade 1.3, and the learning target or the standard is I can decode one-syllable words that contain a closed syllable. And in this situation, this student is getting a mark of 3, and we will go into the indicators here in just a minute. You can see that on Reading Literature 1.2, I can retell stories with understanding of key details and big ideas. I can describe major events in a story, and so on and so forth. Does this give us a clearer picture of what the student can or cannot do? Here's another example for the math standards. Operations and algebraic thinking. Fluently adds and subtracts within 20 using mental strategies. And by the end of the year, know from memory all the sums of 2-digit numbers. So again, these scores down the side let you know on a scale of 1 to 4 where your student is performing on each of these particular skills. Again, this is going to give teachers, students, and parents a better understanding of where they are in their learning progression. Another example of third grade, again, taking each of those standards and breaking them down into very detailed and specific learning targets and working on those throughout each 9 weeks. Our goal is that all students will get to a level 3 which is right where they need to be on grade level with the learning standard. This may not happen the first 9 weeks, second, or even third 9 weeks, but it's our goal that learning happens over time, and we know that with practice, students will become more proficient in these areas. So let's talk about the indicators for academic performance. A 4 is considered superior performance. This means that the student is exceeding the standard, and again, those standards are going to be outlined in detail on each of the report cards. The student consistently exceeds grade level standards and expectations, and performance is characterized by self-motivation and the ability to apply the skills with consistent accuracy, independently, and with a high level of quality. So what we need to understand is this is students going above the standard, even up into the next grade level standard. So 4s are going to be very difficult, and it's going to take a lot of the child being self-motivated. This is also going to keep the teachers held accountable for those students that are continuously scoring and doing well and making 4s. That's going to push them to provide opportunities for those students at a higher level. An indicator of 3 means that the student meets the standard. This is right where we want all students to be by the end of the year in all the standards. This means solid academic performance. The student consistently meets grade level standards and expectations. Performance is characterized by the ability to apply skills with accuracy, independently, and with quality. And we also note here that minimal assistance is needed, and they are doing those skills at the developmentally appropriate level. So this is our goal for all students, definitely by the end of the year. A level 2 is great as well. This means partial mastery. This is when specifically a skill might be introduced. It's new to the student, and so the student is making progress toward the standard, and the student is working hard with grappling with the standards and the expectations. Performance varies in consistency in regards to accuracy and quality. So their performance might be up and down on a particular standard. They have it sometimes, but not all the time. So it's a little inconsistent. And this just basically means that the student is going to need a little bit of additional practice and support. So parents, if you see a 2 on a particular standard, this is an area where you can come in and assist the teachers in working in this area with students at home. If the student receives a 1, that means that they are making minimal progress toward the standard. They're not meeting the standard, and that standard, again, is at grade level. So this tells us that they are not making, they're making minimal progress toward that grade level standard and expectations. And this really lets the teacher know and the parent know that, hey, we've really got to get in there and provide additional instruction, practice, and support is going to be necessary in order to move that child to grade level standards and making sure that they are working up to that 3, which is meeting standards. I did not talk about, let me go back to that previous one for the NA. There may be times that NA will be on the report card. This simply means that that standard has not been introduced yet or not assessed. So if you have an NA on there, that just means that that might be a little bit more of a difficult skill that will be introduced and assessed later on in the year. So all of these indicators go with the growth mindset. In other words, we don't want to assess a student one time on something. They will be given multiple opportunities to show their performance on a skill. Teachers will keep that data, and they'll be able to share with you how your student is progressing toward that grade level standard. So one analogy that I think is really, really good to help us understand these 4 ratings. A number 4, again, that superior performance, That would be if you are trying to ride a bike by yourself. So if you think about a level 4, this would be a student or a child that can not only ride a bike independently by themselves, but they can pop wheelies, they can jump ramps, and they can do stunts. So again, this is above and beyond the grade level, what's expected. And then if you look at the 3, that student is meeting the standard. They're doing a great job. It's outstanding. They can ride the bike by themselves. Number 2, when you think about that, that is partial mastery. Again, you see the parent here, like the teacher, supporting the child. They can do it as long as they have that support and that assistance, but they're just not independent enough yet and quite where they need to be. And then a level 1 would be that they're attempting, they're making the effort to ride the bike, but they're struggling to get balance and pedaling, and they fall off. So these are the students that are going to require that extra support, not only from teachers, but also parents. You're going to know and be able to pinpoint specifically where they need that help. So we need to remember, and teachers know this, and parents need to know this, that students learn in a variety of ways and at different paces, and the way that they learn at different times. Student performance is measured in many ways. Student performance levels represent the student's performance at that time, and that the teacher marks the report card. So this 9 weeks, students again are going to get many opportunities to show proficiency on a standard, and it's not going to be unusual for a student to have a range of ratings throughout the marking period. They might get a 4 on the first attempt, then they might drop down to a 2, then they might do a 1 and a 3. So the performance expectations increase along the continuum. So we want students' performance to change as well. Obviously, as we move through, we want them to gain that knowledge and understanding and eventually be at that level 3 where they need to be. One of the biggest adjustments for students and parents is that many standards-based report cards focus on end-of-year goals. Again, we need to think at the end of the year, we want students to be proficient in all of these standards, and it's going to take time for them to get there. So what this means is that in the first or second, even the third grading period, you're not going to get A's for trying hard and doing well on tests and working, homework. The high achieving student might have several marks indicating that they're not quite proficient in some of those skills, and that's okay. This is normal. Most students will not meet all of the year's goals in the first quarter. And let's face it, if they were meeting all the skills in the first quarter, then they wouldn't need to be in school. That is why they're there, is to learn and to grow in their learning, and they have to have that growth mindset. So if this can be disconcerting to parents if you're used to seeing all A's and B's. And again, this is a resource that you can look up. Great schools. There's an article on rethinking report cards. But many of our districts around us have already gone to this. This is not anything new. It's just something that we have been working on. Kindergarten already uses a standards-based report card, but it's just a much more accurate way of reporting what students are able to do and what areas they still need to work on. The standards that are being assessed on the report card are those that were agreed upon by the district to be what's considered essential standards. There are a lot more standards that teachers will be teaching and going through, but the ones that are on the report cards are kind of what we call the non-negotiables, meaning students in a grade level need to be at a level 3 before they're moved on to the next grade level, so that they're solid in that skill, so that then the next year's teacher and skills and standards can build on what they have already learned. So there's a lot more that's being taught, but that's on the report card, but the report card just kind of gives you an idea of those essential standards that need to be assessed. So again, like I said, they are responsible for teaching all the standards on the Arkansas frameworks, but again, the report card would be really, really long if we assessed each of those and put those on the report card. So how are teachers going to keep track of the student progress? They will have teacher checklists that they will keep track of when those essential standards are taught and assessed. And then they'll have a class checklist where they will be keeping up with each student by standard with their attempts at learning on that. And then there will also be individual student checklists for recording when each essential standard is taught and assessed. And then you will be communicated with. You will no longer be able to go to eSchool and see assignments in there because, again, this isn't an average over time of all the things that they've done. This is working to meet that mastery where we need students to be, but you will be informed every so often, periodically, of what standards they're working on, what kind of assessments and how your child is performing based on where those assessments and where those standards are. So you will be communicated with. It's just a little bit of a mind shift, but it's really, really going to give you a lot more information about what your child can and cannot do. And not that they can't do it, they just can't do it yet. So we are going to continue to work with them, and I know you will too, and we are going to get them where they need to be. So, standards-based approach, teachers evaluate student learning. They use a variety of methods, including observation, small group work, independent work, evaluating student work, and analyzing assessments. The combination of these pieces of evidence, when reviewed with parents, provides a more detailed picture of student progress toward these grade level expectations. So I know this is a lot to take in, and it probably won't really hit home until you see the first report card. But if you have any questions or concern, we would ask that you reach out to your child's teacher first and communicate with them about what standards they're working on. And then also, if you don't get the information you need there, then reach out to the building principal. I am more than happy to visit with you about this. My email can be found here as well as my phone number. I want to thank you again so much for your patience with this opening of schools. This has been a very difficult time. I really want to give a shout out to our teachers. They are doing an amazing job with everything that they have to do from face-to-face to virtual teaching. So they are working really, really hard. It's new for all of us. And so this first 9 weeks, we will ask that you give us a little bit of patience by letting us work with this and get this where it needs to be. But certainly if you have questions or concerns, do not hesitate to reach out to your teacher or to the principal. Thank you so much.